presenting sponsor of Pod Save America is ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter is the smartest way to hire and get hired. ZipRecruiter's platform has revolutionized the hiring world by solving the biggest challenges businesses face, finding qualified job candidates. For decades, the hiring process was post and pray. You post your job everywhere and pray for the right people to see it. ZipRecruiter knew there was a smarter way, and they enlisted some of the world's top engineers to create it. What they built changed how businesses hire, a platform that finds the right job candidates for you. ZipRecruiter can scan thousands of resumes, identify people with the right experience for your job, and invite them to apply. In fact, 80% of employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate in just a day. As you rate and review candidates, ZipRecruiter actively learns what you're looking for and finds more people like the person you just found. It also spotlights the strongest applications you receive, so you never miss a great match. Right now, if your company is hiring, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/crooked and start creating your job post. Once again, if you're hiring, try ZipRecruiter for free today at ZipRecruiter.com/crooked.
Nice reception.
Lovett didn't even have to yell at you.
No. I was going to call this a shithole.
Welcome to Pod Save America. I'm Jon Favreau.
I'm Jon Lovett.
I'm Tommy Vietor. All right. Few coming attractions for those of you listening at home. Tommy's got his very first Pod Save the World show, live show on Wednesday, January 17th in Los Angeles. It'll be a conversation with Ben Rhodes, Samantha Power, and the director of a new documentary about Obama's final year in office. Check that out if you happen to be in Los Angeles. DeRay McKesson and the Pod Save the People crew will host a live show at the Lincoln Theater in D.C. on February 18th. Tickets are on sale now. Crooked Media has a brand new podcast that's number 4 on the iTunes charts. It's Ira Madison's Keep It. Please check it out.
Hey.
Subscribe.
Hey, you know what's better than number 4? Subscribe to it.
And find out.
Maybe you'll find out.
Lastly, we want to thank Democrats Abroad for being here tonight. Yes, let's hear it for Democrats Abroad. Thank you for being here. Thank you for registering voters outside. And if you're an American living overseas, please go to votefromabroad.org. Please make sure you're registered to vote. There's a very small percentage of people, of Americans who are living abroad who actually vote. So we want to up that.
Americans abroad are not voting. And it's shameful. I don't know how to find a stamp.
Stamps.com.
Oh,
That's one way to do it.
wow.
Okay.
It's a freebie.
I can't vote. I'm in Dusseldorf. Yes, you can.
Dusseldorf.
Where's that?
All right. Okay, so this is the final stop on our American apology tour. We've been traveling throughout Europe trying to clean up the mess left behind by our shithole president. On Thursday, Trump announced that he won't be attending the dedication of the new American embassy here in London.
Popular opinion.
John,
So he came in his place.
they're obviously applauding because they too believe that the price tag on the new embassy is too high.
Yes, as Lovett alluded to, his official excuse was that the Obama administration sold the old embassy for peanuts. Of course, nothing about that statement is true. And we know that because Trump's own ambassador, Woody Johnson, told us so. Of course, the embassy move was planned long before Obama was president. The new embassy is more secure, it's more high-tech, and it didn't cost American taxpayers a dime. Tell me, what's the real reason that Trump canceled this trip? If you were to guess.
My guess, Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, believes... Sadiq Khan believes it is because you guys were all going to protest, to which Boris Johnson replied, Boris Johnson called Sadiq Khan a puffed up, pompous popinjay. Do people really talk like that? I don't know what that means. We had 2 embassies bombed in 1998, which mandated a whole bunch of new standards for where embassies can be located. One of them is that you have to be set back 100 feet from a road. So that's very difficult in downtown London. So we had to move the embassy. The location was found by Bush's ambassador to the UK. Lou Sussman, Obama's first ambassador, did all the construction and whatnot. But yeah, it didn't cost anything. So it's a ludicrous, it's one of those things he tweets and argues that is so blatantly factually false that it should sort of be career-ending in a way, but it just never seems to matter.
Well, it stems from his greatest insecurity, which is that people don't like him and don't want him here. Which is also like, I mean, when is the last time that like a US president felt like they couldn't go to the UK because there would be protests? I mean, what
George
fucking
Bush.
bizarre world are we living in now?
I guess
the whole
like
rock thing, but
1.5 back. So,
but yeah, it's so frustrating to see these things happening and to think back to like 2009 when we were sitting in the White House and story after story was written about whether or not Barack Obama had moved the Churchill bust to his private restroom or the basement or like wherever it was alleged to be, and all the bullshit about how the special relationship was being severed. And then you have the US president attacking the mayor of London after a terrorist attack and declining to come visit for an embassy opening.
Sharing phony videos of Islamophobic racists.
Yeah, like ISIS snuff videos, tweeting them out.
I mean, are you guys still upset about the Churchill bust? Is that a big thing? Is everyone very upset about that?
God,
The White House went from having 2 Churchill busts to 1.
that's half the number of busts, John.
So we dared to put Martin Luther King in the Oval Office. Anyway.
Tommy, what do you think this means for US-UK relations? Trump not coming.
I think, as a practical matter, not a ton. I mean, you have like a really tight working relationship on law enforcement, counterterrorism levels. I think both systems and both populations are smart enough to know that politicians come and go and that the relationship will be there and enduring. But, you know, like meanwhile, Trump just decided, luckily, to not tear up the Iran deal quite yet. But part of what he's holding out is that he can work with Europeans to get even more sanctions on the Iranians to toughen the deal. And for that, he's going to need to do a whole lot of diplomatic work. And it's very hard to do that kind of work when you're gutting the State Department and when you're pissing off your closest ally for absolutely no reason. So it's just like needlessly offensive on this point.
Lovett, what do you think?
I think that Sadiq Khan should have said yes to the opportunity to be on this show.
You know, I believe there was a show after this called Love It or Leave It. I don't know if
There's still time.
there's still time.
Let's put another feeler out to the mayor's office. You know, it's embarrassing that Trump is president. He finds new and
Come for the
interesting
insight
and
here at
peculiar
Pod Save
ways to embarrass us on a daily basis. And now he's got this new thing he's doing. So it used to be his embarrassments were diffuse. You know, that what we were doing was something, that America was going through something shameful and embarrassing because we've elevated this bad person. And now he's got this new thing where he's like, I want to create specific bad press about America in countries around the world one at a time. So he's like, I want to bring up Norway stuff, embarrass myself there. I want to come up with some specific London stuff.
I want to tailor my insults and offenses to specific parts of the globe.
Right.
So
right.
that brings us to how Trump has been celebrating his first Martin Luther King Day weekend as president. On Friday, it was reported that in a meeting with members of Congress about immigration, Donald Trump said that he'd rather the United States accept more immigrants from rich white countries like Norway and fewer immigrants from poor countries like Haiti or the, quote, shithole countries of Africa where people are predominantly black. Now, this was a meeting where both parties came to Trump with a compromise on immigration that included more funding for border security, protection from imminent deportation for 800,000 American immigrants who were brought to the U.S. as children, and protection for immigrants from places like Haiti and El Salvador who came to the United States after fleeing natural disasters and civil wars and have raised their family here. So we know that Trump's comments are true because a number of senators who were
that is true that he said them.
You mean accurate?
I'm sorry.
John got brainwashed in Norway.
I've become convinced. He's persuaded me.
Yeah, he's got you.
I'm no longer on the fence. We know the reports are true because there's a bunch of senators in the meeting, Democrats and Republicans, and Dick Durbin, the Democratic senator, he confirmed it, and a couple of the Republican senators sort of confirmed it, and no one has explicitly denied it. Awful Tom Cotton came closest by saying, I don't specifically remember him saying those comments.
Like maybe Durbin had a comma off. I also just, Trump definitely said it.
No doubt.
It's the least surprising thing Donald Trump has ever said. If Dick Durbin came out of that meeting and said, Donald Trump said that we should increase the number of people coming to the United States from Haiti, we'd be like, that's a lie, you're making that shit up.
So we've been traveling. It's not like we've been following the debate in the America media super closely, but I've seen a lot of discussion center around the offensiveness of the word shithole. Whether it's bad the president used that particular word, whether various media outlets should repeat it for their viewers. This was a debate.
We had a very long Crooked Media editorial meeting about whether or not we could use the word shithole on our air.
Forgive us. I saw a Reuters headline just before we walked out here. It said, Trump's profanity delights supporters, horrifies etiquette experts. At which point we all threw our phones and walked out on stage.
I gotta tell you, I don't know, if Emily Post was alive, is she alive? She's dead now. Trump, she did not make it this far.
So,
was Emily Post a real person?
Yeah.
Does she live?
They don't know either.
Okay.
So my first question is, the whole conversation about profanity seems pretty beside the fucking point, no?
Yeah.
What about the comments made them racist?
Couldn't be more beside
Let's
the
start
point.
there.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah.
We always get here.
I think it's such a so many different kinds of ways in which it's wrong coming at you all at once. Like saying,
right.
we want high-skilled immigration, so we want people from Norway, not the shithole countries. Like the layers of stupidity and racism and generalization that are sort of tied up in that, the ways in which it's wrong sort of overlap. First of all, it should go without saying, even before you get to the racism, people aren't the countries from which they come, and people aren't just the average per capita GDP of a country. Every country on earth has palaces and shitholes in it. And every country has people that are trying to escape destitution and want and hardship and unfairness and injustice and what have you. And those people are not the cause of the crisis and misery they're trying to escape.
Yeah.
So even before you get to the way in which he sees the world, which is racialized and rooted in assumptions he made as a racist white guy in Queens in 1960 and never changed. Even before you get to that, the way he thinks about immigration is so just reprehensible. End of thought.
Yeah, it is the best spin they had was basically, no. He didn't call Haiti a shithole. He called 50 other countries. The entire continent of Africa was what he was referring to. That's the shithole. It's absurd, right? It's to your point. It's like, I think all of us have been places or maybe lived places that you call a shithole. It doesn't mean you then prevent everyone who lived in that place from coming to your country.
Well,
in the U.S. media, obviously this is built around race. It's so self-evident, but there's this weird reluctance to call racism, as if the sin of calling someone a racist is worse than being a racist.
Yeah,
The Statue of Liberty practically says, from whatever shithole you came from, welcome. My great-grandparents came from a shithole.
No, well, it's so funny because, and the media has helped with this, but the conservative media, Trump's allies, they've gone back to like the Access Hollywood locker room talk defense, which is, so Trump didn't use the wrong word. He shouldn't have said the word shithole. But obviously he's talking about places that are poor and trouble. No. it's not what he called the places.
Right.
It's not the profanity. It's that he wants to keep people out of our country, out of the United States, because of where they were born, what they look like, and how they pray. That's what's offensive about this.
And this
whole
is after he said that everyone from Haiti has AIDS. He said that people from Nigeria, if they came here, they wouldn't want to go back to their huts.
By the way, statistics that show Nigerian immigrants in the United States are more likely to have a college degree, more likely to be successful, et cetera.
African immigrants generally are more likely to have a college degree than an average American.
Which also, I mean, this gets to the bigger point, which is like, everyone's focused on the shithole comment, but it is the Trump immigration policy has been exposed as all about race and nothing else. And Stephen Miller and the people in the White House and Tom Cotton and all those assholes, they've been trying to say, no, what we want is merit-based immigration. We want immigration based on skills, based on people who can contribute to America, people who educate themselves, people who want to work. But that's clearly not the case.
Yeah.
It's not the case when you actually look at the statistics.
How long do you have to go to school to become Norwegian?
They did a study between Norwegians who come to the United States versus like Nigerians, and the Nigerians end up doing better, and they end up having higher skills.
When are we going to get rid of all these loafing Norwegians?
I mean, the truth of the matter is, American journalist Elise Foley calculated this. Since Trump took office, he has proposed policies that would be responsible for the displacement of nearly 1 million people of color from this country. And to me, it's so embarrassing and so shameful that we don't freak out about this, and the media doesn't freak out about this until Trump uses the word shithole, because that's like a vulgar word. But like, the idea that this immigration policy has been based on anything but race this entire time is bullshit.
And by the way, absolutely. This was a bipartisan meeting of senators trying to come to an immigration agreement, the contours of which we've all known for a while, some balance of legalizing and protecting the young people who came to this country by no fault of their own, plus some additional border security. And Trump, in his addled racist mind in decline, is like, wait, this is too lenient. Why are we... The adjustment they made to say that actually he wasn't referring to Haiti as a shithole, he was referring to Africa as a shithole, it was him saying, why are we letting all these Haitians in? He was trying to change the deal on the fly. And so, by the way, the other piece of this is, oh, that's just Trump, this is how he talks. This was a meeting where Donald Trump's racism, his specific kind of racism, he as a person, his personality disorder, is scuttling a deal, making it less generous, maybe will cause the government to shut down. So all these people are like, oh yeah, he's uncouth, he says the wrong thing, but ultimately, there's good people around and what have you. Donald Trump's racism is having an impact on policy every single day.
Yeah. I also think, like so much racism, it is racism, Donald Trump's racism is the kind that's based in this deep ignorance, right? Like, it is the kind of racism where all you know about the world and about other races and about other cultures comes from the stereotypes that he sees flipping through the New York tabloids or watching Fox News or any of the casual ways he gets his information as opposed to actually learning. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's
right,
that kind of...
It's the sort of Stephen Miller view of America and Steve Bannon view of America as a bunch of descendants of European immigrants. And that Donald Trump, in this era, is not getting a fair shake as a white man because of minority groups. I mean, look back at the election when he said a Mexican judge couldn't rule against him because of what he had said about immigration policy or the wall. It's all a piece of a puzzle. It's all been knowable the whole fucking time, and yet no one said a thing.
And so you get all these conservatives being like, no, it's not about race, it's not about this. And then in the New York Times decides to quote a white supremacist leader who, I don't want to name his name to give him more publicity, but he said Trump's defender should stop saying it's about economics and security and legal systems. He said, quote, it's obviously all about race, and to their credit, liberals point out the obvious. So there you go.
Yeah, it's rare you say this.
I don't agree with that guy.
It's rare you'd say this, but listen to the racists. I mean, the Daily Stormer, like the Klan website, said this showed that his views are closer to ours.
Yeah. But that brings the question of, like, why, after Donald Trump, early in his career, sued by the Justice Department for trying to keep African Americans out of his buildings, right up through the campaign, Mexico's not sending their best, sending rapists, the Mexican judge, Charlottesville, when he said that people who marched at a white supremacist rally were some good people. I mean, like, what else do we need to be able to call him a racist without some people being like, some say he has racially provocative views?
Yeah. The New York Times had a sentence. It was something like the rough edges of race in America. Fraying the edges of race in America. I mean, look, he is a racist. It's his natural instinct. It's been true his entire career, from the Central Park Five to his building practices. This week, he was in a meeting about Pakistan, and he turns to the woman who's giving the information and says, "Where are you from?" And she says, "New York." And he says, "Where are you from?" And she says, "Well, Manhattan." He says, No. Where are your people from?" And she says, "Oh, from Korea." And he says, "Then why isn't this woman..."
Why isn't the pretty Korean lady negotiating with North Korea?
So that's who he is. He doesn't know that saying that is wrong because it's what he thinks. It's it's the way he's framed the world his entire life. And all these Republicans acting surprised by it, it's like, it's just a show.
Go ahead, Tom.
No, I mean, so the answer to your question, though, is Paul Ryan, during the campaign, when Trump said a Mexican judge couldn't rule fairly on his case because he was Mexican, said that's a textbook example of racism. Paul Ryan today, throws his blankie over his head and hides or, does whatever he does. So now that he's in power, they're all afraid of him.
There's one other thing about this, which is that all these stories is Trump a racist, ? They write those stories because they don't believe that they're able to tell the truth without a question mark. And we should think about why that is, why the institutions that the conservatives deride as liberal and biased and on our side and helping us every day, why do they not feel as they have the editorial independence to just tell the truth on this? And I think that speaks to the white supremacy that allowed Donald Trump to succeed in the first place, which there is a big pool of American voters, I don't think they're the majority anymore, but there's a pool of American voters that we're not allowed to tell the truth about. And Donald Trump is one of those people. He's one of those viewers, he's one of those people. And I think a question should be, how do we get that question mark off the end of those headlines?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer.
I mean, I think some of it is, we have to do a better job educating. When we talk about immigration, and we talk about the kind of immigration we believe in, we have to do a better job of educating people and educating the country about the real truth behind immigration, right? What we were just saying about the value that immigrants from all kinds of different countries in Africa bring to the United States when they come here. The education levels, the skills that they have, why it's not. But I think some of it is us doing a better job talking about it as opposed to just saying we're right. You know?
Yeah.
And now the media would need to report that too, but I also think that we have to pierce the ignorance in a way. So a ton of nations have condemned Trump's remarks. All 55 African countries have demanded a retraction and an apology. The spokesman for the UN High Commissioner on Human Rights called it racist. What kind of effect, Tommy, do these statements and policies have on our relationship with the rest of the world?
There's sort of a couple ways to think about it. I mean, one is just sort of personal diplomacy. When Barack Obama would go to a foreign country, we'd always think about what cultural thing he could do, how he could get with students or regular people to try to build up the perception of America in that country as a good force in the world, just to build general support. And then there's the relationships on a bilateral level with all these various countries. And then there's organizations where we need countries to work with us internationally, like the UN or the UN Security Council. This hurts us in every instance. It's hard to quantify exactly how much or what the real impact will be. But we ask a lot of countries to go along with things that are in our interests that are not necessarily in ours. And when you have a population that doesn't like you, it's a lot easier for leaders to say, fuck the United States. We're not going along with that, and sort of demagogue it the other direction.
Also, it's these are personal relationships. There's going to be a moment in his presidency where he's going to have to call up the leader of an African nation and say, I need your help. I've got people stuck somewhere, or I want to work with you on this problem. And there's going to be a big thing between them. It's no different than if I turned to John and said,
careful.
This guy Tommy, he's a piece of shit.
Shithole car. Yeah.
And then I'd ask him to borrow your car.
Yeah, like a lot of our requests, I mean, we do a lot of really important...
It's not.
We're doing a lot of really important
Some of them are gonna
counterterrorism
be
work,
okay.
for example, that is not popular. We're asking people to allow military hardware and bases and operations to be allowed, and this is not going to help with that.
Yeah, and again, it's not just telling those leaders like, oh, I'm sorry, like you shouldn't have been so offended by my vulgar remark. It was him saying, I don't want people from your country in my country because I believe they're lesser. That's what this is.
And also, Donald Trump has never been fucking anywhere. He doesn't know anything. He doesn't know anything
Well,
about
that-
Haiti.
that
He doesn't
again,
know anything about Africa. Everything he learned
doesn't
about
know
Africa
anything about
is like
anything.
from Coming to America. He doesn't know fucking shit. He hangs out with the same 150 other old white shitheads in Mar-a-Lago. The detritus of capitalism aging out.
That's,
He doesn't know anything.
Pod Save America is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron is the leading meal kit delivery service in the United States. And while many people know what they do, many people don't know about the meals you eat when you cook with Blue Apron. You are not just having burgers for dinner. You are making short rib burgers with a hoppy cheddar sauce on a pretzel bun. You're preparing seared steaks in thyme pan sauce with mashed potatoes, green beans, and crispy shallots, all under 45 minutes and without a trip to the grocery store. Blue Apron is teaming up with Whole30 to bring you delicious recipes. The menu will feature 2 Whole30 approved recipes each week, like seared steaks and warm lemon salsa verde with roasted broccoli and sweet potato, and chicken and kale orange salad with spicy tahini dressing. Kickstart your new year with Blue Apron and Whole30. Blue Apron offers 12 new recipes each week, and customers can pick 2, 3, or 4 recipes based on what fits best for their schedule. Blue Apron is treating Pod Save America listeners to $30 off your first order if you visit blueapron.com/crooked. So check out this week's menu and get $30 off with free shipping at blueapron.com/crooked. Blue Apron is a better way to cook. Pod Save America is also brought to you by Soothe. Soothe is an on-demand massage service that delivers a hand-selected, licensed, and experienced massage therapist to you in the comfort of your home, hotel, or office in as little as an hour. They show up with everything. Soothe brings the towels, the massage table, sheets, oil, even music, so you can unwind no matter where you are. You choose the kind of massage you want. You can go up with Swedish, you can do sport, you can do deep tissue, you can do whatever you need. You can even offer couples massages. Set the length of your massage, and you also get to pick the gender of your therapist. Massage therapists can earn over 3.5 times what they'd make at a spa, while maintaining incredible schedule flexibility that means you can even book a massage for 10 p.m. on a Wednesday. This also brings the best therapists to the Soothe network. You can book via iPhone or Android app or on the web. Soothe is in 50 cities, including most major U.S. cities, and London, Sydney, Melbourne, Toronto, and Vancouver. Book a massage as soon as today. Our listeners are getting a special offer that will get you $20 off your first massage when you use our code CROOKED. To download Soothe, SOOTHE, in the iOS App Store or Google Play Store, and be sure to use our code CROOKED to get $20 off your first massage. You will not regret it. There is nothing more relaxing than getting a massage at the end of a long, long work day. Check it out. Soothe, spa quality massage anytime, anywhere.
Now for a segment we call OK Stop. Here's how it works. We roll a clip. When we feel like it, we say, OK, stop, and we talk about it. Today on OK, Stop, we have a series of conservatives, Republican leaders, and others reacting to, massaging, dealing with Trump's comments. Let's roll the clip.
Now, I would not have called these countries what the president did, but they are rank with corruption, repression, and of course, it's obvious, isn't it, that they offer their citizens little hope of a better life.
Okay, stop.
And
This is a good example. There's a whole genre of Trump defender that they don't ever say, here's what he really meant, but they try to smart up what he did.
Yeah.
Obviously, what Donald Trump was talking about was the political conditions inside the government, whether or not they're providing opportunities for their people.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
He was talking about how corrupt the countries were, which is why he doesn't want them to leave and come here.
Yeah. Also, what she meant was, I would never say what he said in public. In private, I'm cool with it.
Wow.
words, they're hellholes.
Okay,
But
stop.
for the-
I don't know. He goes, they're hellholes.
That's
okay.
Laura Ingram's line.
Thank you, Laura.
I'll never say SH star T-hole, but hellhole.
The problem here was the word shit. That is the whole last 24 hours, the root of the problem was the word shit.
She's the person
According to
that
Laura
they do.
Ingraham.
She's the reason that on like TBS, at the end of Die Hard, it's yippee-ki-yay, mother truckers. It's for her.
It's for Laura.
And their media allies who are forever feigning an affinity for the third world.
Okay, stop. What? What are you talking about? When is there affinity feigning hour?
Feigning an affinity for the third world. Like,
So fucking stupid.
I would love to say, what do you mean? What do you mean? You have an hour. Tell us what you mean.
Still matter? After all, race baiting the president is so much more fun.
Okay,
Stop. Every time, without fail, someone calls out Donald Trump's racism, the response from them is, oh yeah, you're the racist. Only a racist would call the president racist. You race-baiting racist, playing the race
Who is
card.
baiting him? Did Dick Durbin have some African country's flag, like a bullfighter? What happened in this meeting? The fuck are you talking about?
Nobody baited him.
Race baiting him as a private meeting. It leaked. God, that's so annoying.
You're catching me relatively flat-footed. I just flew down from D.C. and we were busy with the FISA vote this morning, and so it is what it is. And
Okay, stop. It is what it is.
Yeah, this guy.
Mark Sanford, he's thought about it for a while. He was very busy with the FISA vote that happened 24 hours before the story broke.
Mark Sanford was about to go on. He called this break, and he called Marco Rubio. He was like, what do I say?
There have been some crazy tweets and some crazy quotes, and I just stack it up. It is what it is.
Why can't citizens stay in their country and fix their country?
Okay,
Why
stop. What the fuck? Greg Gutfield's argument is no immigration anywhere. Everyone stay where you are. Stay in your own
You're
fucking
not allowed
country.
to leave anywhere until it's perfect. You cannot come out of your room until it is clean.
Can't do that. How do you describe a country where it's impossible for you to fix it? Maybe you don't call it that, but there's something about a country in which maybe you want to stay, but there's no way to fix it. I've lived in apartments like that.
Stop.
You kind of created.
Okay, stop.
Great stop. Great freeze frame.
We know what it's like to feel like you live in a country that's fucked up and you can't fix it right now. We're dealing with this every day, you angry psychopath.
Right, it's like, how do you how do you deal with a corrupt government that doesn't listen to the will of the people?
His argument is what else are you supposed to call it? Shithole is the only word. I don't know what else you call a country where people are leaving to go emigrate somewhere else. What do you call it? A shithole.
Does he live 2 blocks from where he was born? Greg Gutfield? I should have Googled it first.
I've called them that word. Everybody has lived in an S-hole.
It's difficult, and I know it's difficult for the president because many times you want to say what you're thinking, but in the end, I know a lot of times he's saying what people are thinking. So, look, I always say judge the president after.
Guys, I don't know if you know this, but the rule is you can say anything out loud as long as some subset of humans might also think it. That's our standard for the president now.
The president said something yesterday. Or reported.
He said a lot of things yesterday. Which one are you talking about?
That's a word I can't mention.
I read those comments later last night. So first thing that came to my mind was very unfortunate, unhelpful.
Okay,
Unhelpful.
stop. That was Paul Ryan, for all of you listening at home.
Unhelpful is such a perfect
whom?
word for Paul Ryan to use to describe something so heinous. Like, I don't like him.
He's just so browbeating. He's literally staring down at his sneakers like it puts the lotion on the skin. It's like step up, man. You're the fucking Speaker of the House. Show some capacity for moral leadership. Take a stand. Mark Sanford beat whatever that was.
Paul Ryan gets so offended, and everyone who works for him gets so offended when we all attack Paul Ryan because they're like, you don't understand the position he's in. Donald Trump just made the most racist comment imaginable, and Paul Ryan, like you said, during the campaign, called him out for it, and now all he can say is, unhelpful. Quietly is unhelpful.
So meek, that Paul Ryan.
Okay, so aside from Republican responses that weren't great, I do want to talk about the general media reaction. Washington Post is one of the best newspapers in our country. They have done fantastic reporting. Love the Washington Post. We'll continue to subscribe to the Washington Post.
A lot of caveats.
What are you doing?
Just doing this.
Yeah.
Because
Just shit on them already.
They have just written one of the worst stories I've ever read.
Yeah.
The headline, Trump's vulgarity, overt racism, or a president who says what many think? Here's a couple quotes. We're just going to go quote by quote. Each side reacted more or less according to script. Ever more frustrated expressions of outrage from those who believed that the president had confirmed his racism, and ever more fervent defenses from those who supported Trump because he says what many Americans think.
So I really like that because it implies that simply because we've kind of gone through a few cycles of this, that somehow that it's become rote makes it less of a crisis and not more of one. Right. The fact that we repeatedly deal with the fact that the president is unfit for office and despicable and racist, and we cry bloody murder, and then he's defended by a group of charlatans in Congress again and again and again, makes this too boring to be news.
So they go on to talk about the global condemnation. They quote someone in the New Yorker saying Trump, quote, has demolished his ability to be taken seriously on the global stage. And then the Washington Post writes, again, this is an analysis piece, this is not an opinion piece, but did he really? Is Trump's latest comment a showstopper, or just another scene in a long-running production that wins audiences through pugnacious behavior, profane language, and all manner of provocation?
That is gibberish. That's actually meaningless drivel.
What does win audiences mean? Like people heard it because it was so stupid?
It's not
And then, of course, they do...
It's not a production. It's not an off-Broadway production that's finally getting its chance at the Richard Rogers. Will the Trump show work in front of a bigger crowd?
And then they go interview a bunch of Trump supporters, of course, who say that it's fine, because that's what you do. Because if someone says it's fine, it's okay. Like, what would Donald Trump have to say for them to not go interview a Trump supporter and ask them if it was okay? Like, what happens if Donald Trump actually uses the N-word someday? Are they going to go find a Trump supporter to say that's okay?
Yeah, maybe. I think that's something to look forward to, yeah.
It's just like, why do they do this? Why do you think that the media feels the need to continue both sides in this?
I think everyone's sort of stuck in the cycle of we all failed so miserably, President Company included, in terms of predicting the outcome of the election. And there is a sense that there was this unlistened to larger swath of America that came out for Trump, and that we need to find them, focus on them, figure out what they're thinking, and get at the heart of Trump's appeal. The mistake that they make, we talk about this a lot, I think, is the Trump fans, the people with the MAGA hats, the people throwing up the build the wall Snapchat filter. Those are one subset of people. Then there's the Trump Obama voters. There are the independents. There are the people that sort of hated both sides and didn't turn out to vote. Those are the people that are going to move the election in 2020, and we should really be focused on.
I also think it stems from this, the mainstream media's one of the biggest fears that drive them is they feel like they must try to be balanced. It's not about truth, it's about balance. And that if Trump says something racist, and then because of that, a bunch of liberals and Democrats attack him as racist, if they agree, if the media reports it and says, yes, this is racist, then they have sided with the opposition. They have sided with the resistance. And then they give quarter to some of these Trump supporters and Republicans and other people who say that the mainstream media is biased.
And as Laura Ingraham showed us, they'll be accused of that anyway. So it's sort of like a silly thing to worry about.
But it does seem to drive a lot of this reporting. Another question, what does this mean for the actual immigration negotiations? I mean, we lost sight of this, but the whole purpose of this meeting was, incredibly, Republicans and Democrats in Congress agreed on this compromise, which they need to do by January 19th when our government would shut down because it would run out of money, because that's how we roll in America. And now...
Don't laugh at us. You people have a queen.
And now we have... there you go. A couple. Was that hiss for Lovett or the Queen?
Are we going to have an interregnum? What's going to happen?
Very nervous.
What was the interregnum?
So now Trump has rejected the bipartisan compromise. He has set off this firestorm by being racist. And now we have, 4 working days left next week before the government shuts down.
There was a debate as to whether or not Democrats should push hard on this issue. We came down very hard on the side that Democrats should push hard for the undocumented young people. We should push hard for children's health insurance, even if that means that Republicans would end up shutting the government down because they didn't come to us for votes. This has gotten simpler now, because Democrats and Republicans came to Donald Trump with a deal and said, here's a deal that both congressional Republicans and congressional Democrats can get together on and pass and send to your desk to sign. It will meet our priorities. It will keep the government open. And he said, basically, fuck you, get out of here. And so if what happens 4 days from now, that they can't come to some agreement, if the government does shut down, there will, of course, be the people that will try to find a way to blame Democrats for it. But the president's in the process of rejecting a bipartisan deal. That is what this shithole storm was all about.
Yeah. I mean, what's interesting is like the previous meeting on immigration that was lauded because he didn't, collapse in the midst of it, was largely Republicans and Democrats have been working on the issue, brought this bipartisan package to him. This one, his staff, that is full of real hardcore nativists like Stephen Miller, got stacked with really conservative members to make sure he didn't lose the thread and go along with the Democrats. And so, in some ways, their efforts to manage him worked out, right? They're trying to push him to blow this up. So it seems like everyone's further back into their corners, and it's going to be hard to find a way forward here, which means shutdown.
Yeah, and I do think it's just become a lot easier for Democrats to say absolutely no to any long-term funding bill that doesn't offer citizenship to the Dreamers. Mm-hmm. Because what the Democrats can now say is, we brought a bipartisan deal to the President of the United States to fix this problem. And he turned down that deal because he wants to build his wall and he wants only white people to come to this country.
Yeah.
And the whole world just saw that. And so that's their position now, and they should stick by it. And if he wants to shut down the government for that, then he can shut down the government for that. And that's Trump shutting down the government because he's shutting it down after a bipartisan deal was brought to him.
I mean, that is ultimately, I think, why Paul Ryan says it's unhelpful.
Yeah.
Because it did one of two things.
That was true.
Paul
Ryan told the truth.
It was unhelpful for him.
Nailed it, Paul.
Because there's now one of two possibilities. Either Donald Trump is going to cause a shutdown, which everyone will lay at his feet, or if there is a compromise, he gave some more leverage to Democrats, because if the government shuts down, it will be laid at Donald Trump's feet. So,
Master Dealmaker strikes again.
Good work.
One more story, and it is completely bizarre that this is number 4 on the outline. The Wall Street Journal yesterday reported that Trump's lawyer, Michael Cohen, paid porn star Stephanie Clifford, whose stage name is Stormy Daniels, $130,000 before the election in exchange for her silence about a sexual encounter with Donald Trump that took place in 2006. Of course, he was married to the First Lady in 2005. Will this have any impact at all, this story? Or is this one going to go right down the memory hole in 24 hours?
I don't know what to do. It's I tried to think about a time before Trump, and if it came out that Barack Obama paid off a porn star to keep a secret, an extramarital affair, while Michelle was pregnant with Malia.
Do you think if that happened, someone interviewed Nancy Pelosi about it, she would just say, unhelpful?
I mean, Steve Bannon basically confirmed that this happened frequently in the Michael Wolff book. He talked about how Trump's lawyer kind of dealt with or managed or paid off dozens of women who had various allegations against him. So it shouldn't really surprise us. It is appalling. And then, the most reliable defenders of Trump's agenda are the Jerry Falwell Jr.'s hard right, utterly bankrupt religious right, conservatives. And I'm sure they won't give a shit, which is the only people who really should.
Right. I mean, that is the hypocrisy of the evangelicals that have lined up, or that spiritual advisor that's always on Fox News saying that, like, Donald Trump is the most Jesus-loving person I've ever seen. He washed my feet right before I came out here. People are full of shit.
Yep.
That is one thing that you take away from 2016, which they can't undo, which is that the charlatans in the Christian right, those people were a cheaper date than anybody realized.
Yeah.
Like Mike Pence.
Yeah.
Mike Pence, in between writing op-eds about Mulan, he's never...
I will say one of the best jokes about this came from Patton Oswalt, who said, "Finally, Donald Trump paid one of his subcontractors." So we'll leave it at that. Okay, when we come back, we'll have a little game.
Pod Save America is brought to you by Betterment. Betterment is the largest independent online financial advisor. The service is designed to help improve customers' long-term returns and lower taxes for retirement planning, building wealth, and other financial goals. Betterment takes advanced investment strategies and uses technology to deliver them to more than 300,000 customers. Betterment has low, transparent advisory fees compared to traditional services. Only a 0.25% annual fee with unlimited messaging access to their team of licensed financial experts. Have a more complex financial question? Betterment Premium gives you unlimited phone call access to their team of certified financial planners for only 0.40% annually. Everything they do is designed to lower taxes and increase returns. On average, Betterment's tax-coordinated portfolio can increase portfolio value by an estimated 15% over 30 years. Betterment can give you a clear view of your net worth when you sync your outside accounts, such as bank accounts and other investments. They can show you how much your outside brokerage accounts may be costing you in fees and uninvested cash. Investing shouldn't be confusing or a frustrating experience. Betterment's technology is built to make managing your wealth an easy and enjoyable one. Investing involves risk. Pod Save America listeners can get up to 1 year managed for free with Betterment. For more information, visit betterment.com/crooked. That's betterment.com/crooked. And as always, Pod Save America is brought to you by the Cash App. You guys know the drill. You know the Cash App. It is the best way to split a meal, to pay back your friends, to request money for those deadbeats in your life who refuse to pay back anything that you purchased on the 10-day trip you just took with all your colleagues. And the best part is if you enter our code PODSAVE, when you download the app for the first time and use it, $5 goes to you, $5 goes to Jose Andres' efforts to help people in Puerto Rico who are still suffering. Download the Cash App today, guys. You will not regret it. It is the best app you will use.
And we're back.
Yeah.
Now for a game we call Trump's Travel Guide. I insisted that the bell be replaced by Big Ben, so that you would feel comfortable. So Donald Trump has many opinions about places all over the world, some of which we've heard this week. He's a pretty harsh reviewer.
It's like a racist Zagat's.
He is a cruel mistress on TripAdvisor. So someone in the audience would play, and it would be your job to determine how he described various cities, countries, places all over this earth. Would anyone like to play Trump's Travel Guide? Tanya's in the house. She's going to pick somebody in merch, ideally.
Hi.
Hi.
What's your name?
Ben.
Ben?
Yeah.
And you're wearing a Repeal and Go Fuck Yourself shirt.
Yes, I am.
Where are you from?
London.
All right. What do you do in London?
Shamefully, I'm a lawyer. I'm very boring.
The boring lawyer. Ben the boring lawyer. Are you familiar with some of the things that our president has said about people and places all over the world?
Yeah, a few.
All right, let's see how you do. Okay. Question number 1. In a conversation over immigration, how did Donald Trump describe Brussels, Belgium? Was it A?
In good hands under the steady leadership of Prime Minister Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Was it B?
A disgusting vegetable. No amount of ketchup can save you, believe me.
Was it C?
I don't trust a Belgian. Are you French? Are you Dutch? Shifty. Pick a side.
Or was it D, Ben?
It's like living in a hellhole.
Think probably D.
Nailed
You
it.
got it. He said that he'd been there 20 years ago, back when Brussels was beautiful. But now it's a hellhole. Question number 2. Donald Trump also had choice words for South Africa. What did he say about that country? Was it A?
Very bad shape. Should have never split with North Africa.
Was it B?
Huge disaster. That villain from Lethal Weapon 2 had some smart ideas.
That's a thinker. How many of you are with me on the Lethal Weapon 2 thing? Okay.
All right.
Was it C?
A total mess.
Or was it D?
Nelson Mandela, what a complainer.
Ben?
Glad I got to voice that one.
C.
2, 4, 2. Question number 3. Trump once described this beleaguered place as, quote, a dumping ground for the rest of the world. Was it A?
The Great Pacific Garbage Patch, in a speech about the importance of conservation.
Isn't it sad that that's funny? Was it B?
China on the health impact of discarded Western computers and phones.
Was it C?
The United States, which is a very cool way to describe your own country.
Or was it D?
Epcot Center World Showcase believing the character Mexican Donald Duck had stolen the job from an American.
Think it was probably America.
That's true. He did describe the United States as the dumping ground for the rest of the world. Question 4. Trump claimed that Afghanistan is safer than this major world city. Was it A?
London, because he kept looking the wrong way when he was crossing the street.
Was it B?
Paris, because the McDonald's is similar but not the same.
Was it C?
Chicago, because it plays into the stereotypes of his base.
Or was it D?
Never Neverland, because these kids and Indians are an unacceptable danger to the pirate community.
Ben, Donald Trump sides with the pirates in Peter Pan.
I don't think you make these questions as hard as you think you do.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. The correct answer was Chicago. But there is a bonus question. Trump also described Chicago as out of control, not good, and he used this recurrent Trump phrase. There's no clues for you now, Ben. You fucking arrogant British douche.
Yeah.
What was it, Ben? So smart. I'm a lawyer. My name is Ben. I'm named after a big dumb clock.
Special relationship. Here it is.
I'll give you a hint.
Very bad?
Close. It starts with total.
Shithole?
No. Total disaster. You guys were right in the crowd.
It's funny that you made that was the only hard question in weeks.
Don't.
Tough timing.
I get what I deserve.
What were you saying about Big Ben? It's a bell? It's not a clock? Oh, the clock is just the Parliament clock, right? Where's the Big Ben bell?
Inside the clock.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe if you guys weren't so persnickety, you'd still have an empire. You ever think about that?
Oh my.
Ben named after the bell. Inside the clock. Unbelievable. Question 5. Final question. Disappointed during an inhospitable visit, what locale was described as, quote, run down and not on par with what you'd expect? I wouldn't come back here. Was it A?
Geneva after a NATO summit.
Was it B?
The White House, after his well-done steak arrived with a hint of pink in the middle.
He eats his steak burnt all the way through. It is disgusting. Was it C?
London, because Mayor Sadiq Khan hurt Trump's feelings.
Was it D?
Don Jr.'s elementary school production of Guys and Dolls.
Run down, not on par with what you'd expect. I wouldn't come back here.
Geneva.
Incorrect. Ben, it was a trick question. That was a Yelp review of Trump Tower. Ben, you have won Trump's travel guide. What? That's the famous bell inside of a clock that is not Big Ben. What does he win? We don't know.
I'm not sure I can buy anything with a parachute gift card in this country.
Well, you're not getting one. So don't worry. We did not bring them. But your prize is forthcoming. Guys, give it up for Ben. Woo! Thank you, Ben, for playing.
You guys have been great.
Thank you guys for coming.
You guys have been outstanding.